I'm down here at French Prairie Perennials. I'm with Rick. Rick, it's been a long, hot summer.
It has.
You know, and our conifers kind of took a beating this summer.
Absolutely.
You know, and we talked earlier in this year, right after the burn, that we should just kind of let them be. But now, you know, we're a couple months past that. So what do we need to be doing for these burned conifers now?
What you want to do now is check and see the areas that are burned. You want to go down and look and see, you know, how much damage there really is. Now, for example, and the reason we want to wait it out, and this is why we tell everybody to wait it out, is this is Picea pungens nimitz, which is a dwarf Colorado blue spruce. You can see here where we lost all our needles, where this got burned.
Right.
Now, the reason we wait is because we want to see if it's going to set new buds, which it's doing right here. Okay, this is all new growth. So this tells me that this is healthy and it's going to come back, it's going to regenerate, and it's going to be fine. So I don't want to take those off. So that's why you don't jump to conclusions and just, when you see all the burn, to just automatically take it off.
We wanted to really get in there and kind of take that unsightly stuff off. But had we done that, we would have been left with it.
No, and we wouldn't know, because we would have taken these branches off, and then we would have had, you know, we would have lost some of that new growth. So,
and then the cedars, you know, this, you know, looks like a lot of the cedars I have in my yard that got a lot of burn internally. So what do we do with something like this?
and primarily they're going to get burned on the south or west side, because that's where it was the hottest, and that's kind of what happened here. On the back side here, there's no burn. So what you can do on this is just, again, wait it out, because this is all flushing out new growth, and eventually this is all just going to get covered up and you're not going to notice it. But if it's just bugging the heck out of you, just go ahead and go through and you can cut this off. You can either use some hedge shears to prune this, because they're really pretty. This is a western red cedar. They're really pretty prunable. So you can go ahead and prune this and shape it if you want to and get rid of some of the dead burned stuff, or you can just kind of go through with your pruners and just kind of cut some of this off. And this particular plant turns a bright orange and red in the wintertime anyway. So when that gets to that point, you know, a lot of this is going to kind of disappear by the time we get there. So that's why you don't want to cut off too much of it, because the new growth is the part, or the tips that turn red, and that's really one of the part of the attractions of the plant. So,
and then we have, you know, a tree like this that has some pretty significant damage in here. So what do we do with something like this?
Well, the advantage of this plant is it is one of the few deciduous conifers. This is a metasequoia called Northern Light. And if we didn't have this severe damage on the backside and we just had some burn, this would all, like a maple or any other deciduous plant, this would all go off, fall off in the fall and in the winter, and regenerate in the spring, and you wouldn't know anything happened to it.
Right.
But the problem is here is we got a lot of die off on the backside where it really got severely burned. Now, the test for this, my test for this is if you go through and you look at this, it looks dead. I'm going to go ahead and do this, and if it's pliable, then I don't want to take it off. But obviously, it's just snapped off and it's dead, and you can see that there's no green or anything, and it's all dry on the inside. So this is all dead. So this potentially could be a total loss, because it's going to take a long time for this growth to regenerate. But one thing you can do is plant it against a wall or something, and on the good side, you won't even notice this. But because this is all dead, I'm going to go through and cut all this out.
Okay.
When you prune, you're generating new growth, so potentially we could generate some new growth in here where there are some live and new buds that would eventually fill in, but it's going to take a long time because this plant doesn't grow very fast. So you've got quite an investment in this one, waiting for it to recover.
And then we have some, you know, other conifers as we're kind of going into fall and winter. You know, things that maybe didn't get burned, but there's still some care and some maintenance that we need to do with these.
Well, a lot of calls that I get from people is particularly on the tighter foliage plants like this Hinoki cypress or this Cryptomeria twinkle toes. When they have really tight foliage, they don't get a lot of light on the inside. So you'll open this up and you'll see a lot of dead. Well, that's just normal.
Okay.
That just happens because, like I say, it's not getting a lot of light in there and a lot of air circulation. So you're going to get some die-off way back in here. But that's okay. Just clean it out, and if you want to, and it'll all be fine. But has nothing to do with the health of the plant, or it has nothing to do with whether it got burned or not. It's just a normal part.
And then what about pruning on conifers for going into fall and winter? Do we want to do some selective pruning?
Particularly on your dwarfs, yeah, because anytime that you're going to develop a really strong central leader on a dwarf, you want to get rid of that, because it's going to get bigger than what you want it to be. So this is Macapin, which is a eastern white pine, and I've got 3 very prominent leaders that are shooting up that I don't want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these leaders, I'm going to go all the way down to the crotch, and you want to try and hide your cut. So I'm going to go all the way down here, take that off, and then on this one I'm going to go way down here and take that off, and on this third one I'm going to do the same thing. And now I've got more of the shape that I want in this plant. You can't see hardly see where I made the cuts.
And fall is the time to be doing this.
Right, fall's a good time to do this, right, exactly.
And then what about, other care as far as like fertilizer? We've been dumping a lot of water on our yard too. What do we need to know about watering and fertilizer?
The problem is everybody's natural instinct when it's hot to really want to water. And the problem with dwarfs conifers is that they don't use a lot of water. So if you give them a good deep watering in the morning, leave them for the rest of the day. Now you can go and spray them, with a little bit of water to create the humidity and kind of cool them off when it's 118 degrees.
Right.
But
and then you'd mentioned something, fertilize too.
Yeah, you want to fertilize in the fall. I would use a Osmocote or a time release or something close to that. And do it now and then do it again mid-spring.
Okay.
And that's all you need to do for the rest of the year. But that's the basic thing, is that make sure that you don't overwater, because that's the thing that's I've seen most this year, is we're having a lot of die-off from overwatering.
Okay. So these are all, great tips on what we're supposed to be doing with our conifers this time of year. So for more information on this, make sure you come down and talk to Rick and the staff down here at French Prairie Perennials, or you can go to gardentime.tv and we'll click you over to their site. And so Rick, we appreciate all the information. There's lots we can be doing out in our yard now that it's starting to cool off a little bit. So thanks for the info, and you can go to gardentime.tv.